Good morning. Good morning. Kind of multitasking here. It's cold this morning. Like winter was like, hi. And I was like, of course, it would be one of the days that I have to go outside, right? It couldn't be one of the days that I didn't have to go outside. Good morning. How is everyone? All right. So this topic is actually halfway pre-planned. I know I usually jump on here and just talk about stuff. I was speaking with a woman last night. She wanted some questions about being a dom, and she has someone who's interested in being her sub. And so I'm putting stuff on my skin. So she hit me up, and I know some of you have been a little bit intrigued by the video that I posted with me in the hat and me talking about me being a dom. So I thought I would come on and do a little bit of a talk about the healing power of BDSM and kink, because I know for some people the only thing they know about it is 50 Shades of Grey, or they think it's just some weird fuckery going on. There is some weird fuckery going on. But it's all consensual and it's all good. So we're going to talk about that a little bit this morning before I head out into the 34-degree weather. I don't want to. Okay. Sorry, I had to. And my face is going to be extra shiny. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm using my Zoom as a mirror. All right. BDSM. Kink. What do you know about it? You can pop it into the comments if you know anything about what BDSM is. I'm going to tell you guys what it stands for. What are your ideas on it? Normally I'm not interactive, but for this one, I'm kind of interested. And as you tell me what you think it is and what you think it involves, I'm going to talk to you about what it is. So BDSM is an acronym, if you don't know, and it stands for a variety of things. It stands for bondage, dominance, submission, sadism, masochism, in a general sense. The D and the S can also mean other things. The S and the M can also mean other things. So the acronym can take on more meanings, but the basis of it is bondage, dominance, submission, sadism, masochism. That's the basic definition of BDSM. Within BDSM, and I mean, I could teach a class, and someone actually suggested that I teach a class, so I might teach a class. I could teach a class on all of the different levels and things that are on from a general perspective that are involved in BDSM. So I won't go into all of the various kinks that exist. First of all, some of y'all are not ready for that conversation. And second of all, it takes a lot of time. So I really want to focus on the Dom sub piece, because I think that's the part that most people know about the most. And the Dom sub piece can involve some sadism and some masochism. So sadists are people who like to inflict pain. They get off on inflicting pain on others. A masochist is a person who enjoys receiving pain. This is not, I need you all to separate this from, if someone says, oh yeah, well, my ex definitely hurt me, so they must have been a sadist. No, this is consensual. This is not asshole behavior. This is on purpose. Like, I know this person is going to punch me in the leg and I want them to, because it feels good to me to have that done to me, not, oh my God, I'm about to get hit. So BDSM is not the same thing as being abused, and it's not the same thing as being an asshole. Each party knows in advance what's happening. Each party agrees to what's happening. So within the BDSM world, and like I said, I'm going to focus on the Dom sub portion. The reason why this is a way of healing is because you have the opportunity to find your voice. And I'm going to try to stay on track because I love this topic and I can really go all over the place. So I apologize in advance if I start pewing. But there's so much richness in this for me, and I love this world. Within the Dom sub dynamic, or as we like to say, the big D little S, the sub is the one who ultimately holds the cards. The sub is the one who actually has the power, because the sub is the one who decides the parameters for what's happening. The Dom fulfills the desires of the sub, but the Dom also enjoys that power dynamic of having that control over someone else. So this fulfills their desire as well. This dynamic requires a lot of trust and a lot of communication. I harp on communication a lot because people do not talk to each other. In the BDSM world, you have to. You have to talk to each other because you don't want to do anything to someone that is A, not consensual, and B, can put them in serious harm's way. So there has to be a ton of conversation around boundaries and limitations. And people are like, well, I don't have any boundaries. Everyone has boundaries. So I will mention a few things just in case you think you have no boundaries. Choking, spitting, waterworks, which is being urinated on, scat play, which is play with fecal matter, bondage, wax, fire play, knife play. Just to give you a few examples of things that exist in the kink world before people think it's only about spanking somebody with a belt or, with a paddle. That's called impact play, which most of y'all are doing, and you're not doing BDSM, but you're doing kink. Like a kink is a thing that gets you off, right? So some of y'all are already, doing some spanking and choking. As a matter of fact, most women are like, yeah, spank my ass. You're already doing some of that. It's a little different in the BDSM world. It's a little more impactful. It hurts more. It hurts more. So there are boundaries and limitations, right? I think you've all have heard enough of what I just said to go, yeah, that would not be me. That's a boundary. That's a hard no. So you have to have discussions about your boundaries, about what you will and won't do. And the Dom as well. The Dom as well has boundaries. So I do have a sub. He is a male. And, in our initial conversation, we did discuss, and we continue to discuss, what his limits are. I was debating if I was going to tell you what he's into and what he enjoys, but not right now. But we did discuss, he's not a big fan of impact play. He doesn't mind some spanking, but he's not a fan of like hard impact play, which is great because as a Dom, I'm not either. I explained to him I'm not the type of person that likes to leave bruises on people. I don't like to leave marks on people. I did ask him if he liked that. I did, and a lot of people, if they do like marks, it's definitely something that's not visible. I let him know that I'm not into waterworks, fecal matter, none of that stuff. Thankfully, he's not into any of that either. And so it was a good match. If it was someone who really wanted me to play with them in that way, I could not be their Dom because those are my boundaries. My sub is into servitude. He is into playing the feminine role, and being of service like a 1950s housewife. That's his kink. That's what gets him off. I'm happy to oblige, and give him assignments and things to do and ways that he can serve me because I enjoy that. But there's a lot of conversation that happens. And then we also have conversations just as regular people, right? Every conversation isn't, me directing him and him saying, yes, mistress. In the BDSM world, I'm Mistress Debbie, right? And it's every conversation isn't, yes, mistress. That gets to be a little bit too much. It's like, let's just have a conversation. I always call him by the name that I've given him, though. I never call him by his regular name. And he always calls me Mistress or Debbie, but we do have conversations like regular people. Okay, so back to the Dom sub dynamic. And yeah, you can share my life. Catrice, absolutely. My lives are always to be shared. Ava, how did I know you would like this? Thank you, Payne. Yeah, my lives, my page is pretty much public. I don't put my private life on social media unless I put it on social media. That's how I avoid, weirdness. So yeah, all that to say, go ahead, feel free to share this. All right, so going back to the Dom sub dynamic, can I just say as an aside, it's so interesting to me how as a society, we pretend to be so repressed sexually, but I shit you not, the lives that people are most interested in, or the posts that people are most interested in, and it's not just me, it's anyone, it's stuff that revolves around sex, and it's stuff that's taboo, which means there's a huge disconnect, and we need to start getting more honest, which is why I'm doing this live, because we need to start getting more honest with who we are and that gritty underbelly and shit. All right, back to the Dom sub dynamic. What did I want to say? So the sub has the power, actually, right? The sub gets to decide. It's kind of like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. The sub gets to decide when, they get to decide who, sorry, one of my favorite movies. And then the Dom's kink is to have power and control and also fulfill that, which is why 50 Shades of Grey, not so much. Okay, that was just a really dysfunctional codependent relationship, not a good marker of BDSM. I enjoyed the movies, but I was not looking at them like, Dom sub, I want a Dom like that. No. So it's usually an agreement. Contracts do not necessarily have to be written. Sometimes they are. It depends on the two people. Just because I know that people saw that in the movie as well. Let me see what else I wanted to say about that. Okay. So in order to be a good Dom, it is important to have some experiences as a sub. That way you understand what it is. I spent some time, I was not a sub. I just don't think my personality was never meant for that. I met someone off FetLife, happens to be he's always going to be one of my lovers, one of my loves, that I've never actually had sex with. But he's still one of my lovers. And I thought we met under the understanding that I might be his sub and he might be a Dom. And I realized I don't like being told what to do. So I'm not a very good sub. I thought I was a bratty sub, but no, I just like to top from the bottom, which means I'm really a Dom. There's a test called bdsmtest.org. I'll put it in the thing if you'd like to find out where your predilections may lie. It's a test you can take to find out who you think you are in the world of kink. All right, so why is this healing? That's what I wanted to get to after I laid down the groundwork. Why can this be healing? Because within the BDSM kink world, sorry, I thought I had something in my lip. Within the BDSM kink world, again, there's communication and you get to decide things. So let me speak for myself. I experienced sexual assault many moons ago. And I also experienced a marriage in which the dynamic was one where because there are certain words that I try and stay away from because they carry frequency and vibration that I just don't feel anymore. That's why I'm struggling to find out how to put this. I was in a marriage which carried a frequency of imbalance, and dominance, but not in a healthy way. And so I lost my voice. I did not know how to say no to things. I was afraid to say no. And I was afraid to say no my whole life because I was a people pleaser. I was a good girl. I was an A student. You know, I tried to be very pristine and just right all the time and presentable. And there's a whole family history that goes along with that. But that was what I was given. And so literally it was difficult for me to say no. I would try and slink away from it to get out of doing things. I would try and maybe do things poorly to get out of doing things after a while. I even tried to commit suicide to get out of living because I just couldn't say no. Going into the kink world, going into impact play, I had to find my voice and say no. So with the people that I played with, we used colors, not safe words, right? Because safe words, as one Dom says, he's like, people can forget a safe word. You're in the middle of that, you forget a safe word. So we use colors, red, yellow, green. Green is, I'm good. Yellow is, I need you to like back up a little bit. Red is, yeah, that's a no for me. And I learned through impact play, not only that I have a fucking high threshold for pain and I very much enjoy being stimulated in all kinds of ways, but that I could say yellow and this person would stop. It didn't even have to get to red. I could say yellow. That's it. I'm done. Cut it. And in doing that type of play, and that can be for anything. It doesn't have to just be for impact play or spanking. It can be any scene that you're creating, right? It could be bondage. They could be tying you up and you can say yellow. And then that person has to stop right there. What do you need? What's happening? What's going on? What do you need me to change? What do you need me to shift? And so not only was I able to make the decisions, I was the decider, damn it. But it was also, not only was I the decider, but this person was like, what do you need? How can I help you? That helped me regain my own personal power. It helped me learn how to trust. It helped me to learn how to communicate. Because I would always be afraid to say what I wanted, to say what I needed. I didn't want the other person to feel obligated, or I didn't want them, it's just weird. Like I can't even fathom it. It's really weird now, but like I didn't want to be a burden by saying what I needed. So it was always like, okay, no, it's fine. No, it's okay. No, yeah, I can do it. That like this, like martyrdom. I was a martyr and then I was resentful because I'm doing all these things for these people. They don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate me, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not speaking up. I learned how to do that in the kink world. That is part of the healing power of that. The amount of trust that you have to give someone control of your body. Give them control. I have been to dungeons, which are places where BDSM activity takes place, and seen some very interesting things. One woman was restrained by her partner, and she just wanted to be tickled. And he opened up this thing and there's like feathers and pencils and all kinds of things. And he's like, do you want to, they clearly had an agreement, right? That he can invite other people to play. But guess what? She had to trust him enough to not only restrain her, but to trust who to invite to her body. Do you have that type of trust with people you have sex with? Who to invite to play with your body? Do you have that type of trust that they know what to do with your body? And so I was able to, take a feather and just, and me, and I think it was one of my other friends, we were there and we were just like watching this one play, just laugh and delight, being tortured by the tickling, but being so turned on. She was so turned on and aroused by this. Like, it was a beautiful thing to see. One of the things that BDSM teaches you is acceptance of others, acceptance of what turns other people on, of what gets other people off. All consensual, all legal, all safe, right? We are staying in that box: consensual, legal, safe. So nothing with an ilia at the end of it. But within that, there are so many varieties of things that people do and ways that they can express themselves, ways that they can honor who they truly, deeply are within themselves. And that's a beautiful thing to see. Going back to trust, I was at another dungeon and there was a woman who was completely wrapped in like saran wrap, like mummified, wrapped all the way around. That was her thing, and the woman who was wrapping her was enjoying it. It poked a little hole here for her nose, because I'm watching like, because I hadn't seen this one. I'm like, the fuck, what? She's gonna suffocate? So they poke holes here for her nose, poke a hole for her mouth, and the woman was just laying there. They after she finished wrapping her, she laid her down on the floor, and she was just like that, like a couple of minutes. And then they unwrapped her. But when you think about it, when you think about that, if you're like, that's some fucking weird shit. When babies are born, one of the ways to help them transition from the womb into regular life is to swaddle them, because it helps them feel safe. To wrap them in blankets and keep it tight, so that they get used to this new world, but still have that feeling of being bound up and together in the womb. So is it really all that crazy that she would want to be wrapped in saran wrap? It's like how you want to be wrapped in a blanket. She just likes saran wrap. So trust is inherently important when it comes to BDSM. A lot of people don't have that level of trust in their regular relationship. A lot of people don't have that level of communication in their regular relationship. But you cannot have a BDSM relationship without that high level of understanding the other person, of asking lots of questions, of getting in their head. So as from the dom end, my job is to get into the head of my sub. My job is to understand my sub psychologically. To fulfill their kink. It's a bit of mind fuckery. And I enjoy that. That's a thing for me. It's one of the reasons why I majored in psychology. By the way, I used to want to go into advertising because I found advertising incredibly hypnotic. I thought the idea that I could create a campaign that would somehow compel someone to purchase a product, I thought that was like ultimate power, that I could convince you to purchase something based on the colors and fonts that I used, based on specific words, how that could get in your head and make you think away and think that you actually needed that thing. What? I didn't go into advertising, but instead I used that in my dom world, because it's whatever play you use, whatever play you have. If you're on the dom side of things, if some of you are thinking, because everybody talks about the sub, it feels like it might be easy to be the sub, like, I'm just going to do nothing, I relinquish power. and so it feels like the dom has all the work, and in many ways the dom does. Being a dom is not, it is something, I truly believe that some of these things there's something that you are. It's not just a thing that you do. And so the woman that I was speaking with, she was debating it because she wasn't sure if, she could handle that. And I said, it may be a way for you to explore your power. And what I told her was this: being a sub helped me find my voice. Being a dom helps me be responsible for my power. And so doing both has helped me to expand in ways that have extended beyond the kink world. It helped me to expand and speaking up for myself, at work, with friends, with lovers who are not in the BDSM kink world. Because on the one hand, I know how to say, yes, this is what I want, this is what I need, and no, that's too much. And then learning how to be responsible for all of that. So although I enjoyed being like a bratty sub in the bedroom type thing or in the scene, I wasn't just like a bratty sub in my whole entire life, right? Throwing temper tantrums. When life didn't go right, I don't like it, change it, somebody. Right? Because in the kink world, that was okay. But in real life, I'm the master of my life. So I gotta fix it. So to me, BDSM is a perfect way to examine issues of trust, communication, power. If you're someone who has felt powerless, being a sub is a way to play with that and flip it in a way where you might still, where your ego still feels like it's powerless, but you're actually learning how to have more power. Being a dom is a way to learn how to take care of someone, to be responsible for them. Being a dom is a great way to learn how to listen to someone else, because you have to listen to what your sub says and what their body says. You have to pay attention to their body. You can't just be like, especially with impact play, you can't just go wailing off on somebody like, yeah, yeah, I'm a beat this. Think about how you can take that into sex. Because now you're paying attention to your lover's body. You're more aware. As a sub, you're more aware. What you like, what you don't like. Can we move this a little bit to the left here? I need us to switch positions. As a sub, you get to understand that and you take that into your entire life. Because see, in vanilla life, as we call it, when we're just being regular, it's like my vanilla outfit. In vanilla life, we don't seem to have these conversations. And we just go along with the flow of it. Being dominated without consent, being submissive without consent, getting involved in sadism and masochism in ways that don't feel good. See, people in the BDSM world, Lord, with the stuff outside, I think they're blowing the leaves. In the BDSM world, if you're a sadist, you know what you're doing. And if you're a masochist, you know what's happening. It's not this fake fuckery. It's one of those things where I encourage people to explore this type of play if it's in your purview, if it's in your way of being. Man, I hope y'all can still hear me. This sound is driving me like I'm not able to surrender to the sound of this outside my window, which is why I need to move back to the suburbs. But can you see how this can be healing? Oh, sex dreams, nice. I've actually been having very intense dreams too. I just assumed it was because I was free bleeding. Not gonna get into that because some of y'all are gonna be like, what the fuck? If you know what it is, you know what it is. But it might be because of Scorpio season. I don't know. That's interesting. They were boring. I'm gonna have to go back and look at these comments. But yeah, hopefully this makes sense as to how getting involved in kink and BDSM and impact play can help you to find your power, find your voice. If you feel like you did not have one before, again, trust. I can't express to you enough how much trust is such a huge part of this. And learning how to trust the person who's handling your body on the sub end. And as a dom, learning to trust your sub, to trust that your sub will tell you when it's too much, to trust that your sub is serious about what their likes and dislikes are. Red flags in BDSM are a sub who says, I have no boundaries. Do whatever you want to do to me. No. Because I don't know what story you're playing out in your mind, but no, I will not do anything to you. And no one should ever allow anyone to do anything to them. It should always be agreed upon. And it should always be understood. And there should always be safety mechanisms in place. Because some of the things that happen in the BDSM and kink world could have you arrested, depending on the state you're in. You know, you walk into work with bruises the next day and someone wants to know who assaulted you. You know? So we don't want to play those games here. Using handcuffs, you got to be careful. They'll leave a ring around your wrists. You make them too tight. You're a kindergarten teacher, that might not look too kosher, right? So you always want to be aware of boundaries, and you always want to have communication. All right, I'm gonna jump off because I think it's been 30 minutes. I try to keep it, you know, a little condensed. If you have any questions about, you know, more specific questions about BDSM or kink, I'm more than happy to answer them. A great website, and I'll put this in there, is FetLife. I'm on there. FetLife.com is really great for, it's not always great for information because it's like a Facebook. So you get into the wrong group, you're going to get the wrong information, but it's good for exploration. I will say that. And I'll put in another link for the Eulenspiegel Society. They are good for information. So I'll add that to the title in case people would like to do more research on their own. All right. Well, this sensual dom is signing off. Gonna finish my drink and go outside in this winter weather. You all enjoy the rest of your hump day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Bye.